What is that?
A pattern of lights over Paterson, New Jersey on Monday night caused a bit of a stir with residents on the ground, all trying to make sense of the unidentified flying objects.
There's a lot of them, bro.
Louis Stevens, who was on the ground filming the spectacle, says he lost count of what he called flying white circles that he says morphed into different shapes.
You see it on YouTube and you be like, it's always somewhere out in the Nevada desert somewhere. The shock was more like, is this really real? Like, are we really looking at what we think we're looking at? Headed toward those.
The mysterious lights dazzled the skies over downtown Paterson for more than 5 minutes, Stevens said, ending their run over nearby Garrett Mountain. Pix 11 News sent the video to the Federal Aviation Administration, where an official reviewed it, checking in with local air traffic. We were told nothing unusual was reported, while theories on the ground are now running rampant, especially after a government report released over the summer acknowledged that intelligence officials cannot explain such sophisticated movements in the skies. One likely premise leans more toward drones.
At first, I was kind of puzzled.
Victor Chu, the founder, director, and executive producer of SkyTech One, a drone-based photography company behind numerous award-winning productions, says based on his knowledge, it appears the flying objects were part of a drone lighting show practice session that went wrong.
If you look at a light show, they're all synced together and they're controlled by a computer. And if you looked at the video, you'll see that they're maintaining a formation for the most part, even though it was kind of scrambled a little bit.
There's a lot of them, bro.
Now, whether they were drones or some supernatural phenomenon remains unclear. Officials are urging members of the public who do see this type of activity to report it to the National UFO Reporting Center, or if they feel their life or property are in danger, to call police.
There's been several mysterious sightings in the sky recently, including unidentified objects over U.S. military bases and drones flying over parts of New Jersey. Well, the Pentagon says it has found no evidence of alien spaceships, but lawmakers on Capitol Hill continue their search for answers. More than 700 UFO reports came in last year. A significant number of those lacked enough data to investigate, but there are 21 cases that the Pentagon say they can't explain.
Strange drone sightings are now happening in another part of the area, this time flying over parts of Staten Island. Congresswoman Nicole Malliotakis requesting that the FAA impose temporary flight restrictions on drones in the area. She's also asking the Department of Homeland Security and the FBI to immediately investigate the drone sightings and share their findings with the public. Over the past several days, we reported similar drone sightings over parts of New Jersey. Some have been over critical infrastructure like water reservoirs and electric transmission lines.
The Pentagon shedding some light on potential UFO sightings in a classified briefing to Congress after last month's House and Senate hearings.
And authorities are still investigating mysterious drone activity observed several times in northern New Jersey recently, including near President-elect Trump's Bedminster Golf Club.
More than several times. I've seen two outside my window. Tennessee Congressman and House Oversight Committee member Tim Burchett joins us now. Congressman, thanks for joining us this morning. This is a little bit personal to me. My entire neighborhood, everybody in the surrounding cities, seems like it's all anybody's talking about because there are so many sightings. We're going to show you the one outside of my house that my kids captured just on Thursday night. But what are your thoughts on this? What's happening? And why don't we have more information? That's over my house. Yeah.
It's one of three things. It's either individuals, it's either the Chinese, or it's our military, or a combination thereof.
Today, Pentagon officials got to sit in on a classified briefing on Capitol Hill with the House Oversight Committee.
The discussion reportedly focusing on unidentified flying objects flying over military sites and President Trump's golf course. National correspondent Kayla Gaskins has the story.
For the past few weeks, residents of New Jersey spotting mysterious objects flying at night.
This is over my house right now. What is that?
Some close to a military installation. Others over President Trump's Bedminster Golf Club, raising alarm. The FAA restricting airspace. The FBI now investigating.
Oh my God, here we go. What is that?
Officials admitting they can't say for sure what the flying objects are, some saying they're the size of a small automobile. In a statement, a New Jersey police chief saying their presence appears nefarious in nature. The concerns reportedly being discussed behind closed doors on Capitol Hill Friday in a classified briefing between Pentagon officials and House Oversight Committee members.
Is the truth.
A few weeks ago, lawmakers held a public hearing aimed at advancing transparency around unidentified anomalous phenomena, UAPs for short.
Why the secrecy? If it's really no big deal and there's nothing there, why hide it from the American people?
Now, the American people have legitimate questions, and I believe it's critical that Congress should help address them. This is about the truth and science and facts.
Following the hearing, the Pentagon saying this.
To date, the department has discovered no verifiable evidence of extraterrestrial beings, activity, or technology.
We could be getting more information on what the government does and doesn't know regarding UAPs and UFOs relatively soon. Donald Trump says he supports transparency on the subject and even promised to release classified footage of the phenomena while on the campaign trail.
And David and Natalie, we are here in Morris County, just a couple miles away from the Picatinny Arsenal. That is a military manufacturing and research facility. And look, people who live in this area are accustomed to equipment testing here, but residents tell us what they have been seeing in the skies this week is like nothing they have ever seen before. On Tuesday night at around 8 p.m., Phil Doyle and his wife Maureen went out on their back patio when they heard buzzing overhead. He says they saw dozens of flying objects believed to be drones, which have now been reported in 8 northern and central New Jersey counties starting the week before Thanksgiving. This video was taken in their backyard. Now that is less than 5 miles from the Picatinny Arsenal, a U.S. Army base. The Doyles, who live in Oak Ridge, say they saw dozens of these objects believed to be drones coming from the direction of Picatinny and heading northwest.
One goes over and another comes by, so it's not like 2 or 3 a night. It's probably 30 or 50 a night.
30 to 50 drones flying overhead.
Yeah, and they have lights on them so you can follow them in the sky.
What do you think of the government response so far?
Yeah, it's typical of the government. You know, they may know, they may not know. So, but a lot of them seem to come from the Picatinny Arsenal area, which is, like you said, just the other side of the hill, and who knows what they're doing.
Well, we checked in with some of those government agencies. Governor Murphy's office said nothing new since yesterday when he said he was in touch with Homeland Security. And the FBI also told us nothing new to report, but they are asking people to send them tips and video. Now, as you mentioned at the top of the story, these drones have also been spotted over Staten Island. Congresswoman Nicole Malliotakis saying today that she's asking the FAA to impose a temporary drone flight restriction in the area. Some of her concern there that these drones are flying over the Howland Hook Terminal. That's a container port facility here in New Jersey, obviously flying near Picatinny and also over some reservoirs and rail stations. That leading the Florham Park mayor yesterday to call the presence of these drones nefarious or unlawful.
Drone sightings like this one that started in North Jersey have now spread to South Jersey.
Last night around 8 o'clock, we got reports of residents seeing drone activity in the area.
The latest over Evesham. And those were big, too, the police here saw.
Police went out, were able to observe some of them. We looked like there was reports of between 4 to 8 drones. They weren't like the typical types of drones you would think of, like a hobbyist that goes up and takes pictures of whatever. These more look like unmanned aircraft. There's some were as large as like an SUV flying around in the area.
Social media fueled fear has followed many of the drone sightings, and so has legitimate concern from government leaders. Governor Murphy posted that he convened a meeting on the drone activity with senior officials with Homeland Security, State Police, and the state's congressional delegation, and said there is no threat to the public at this time.
We monitored the area just to see, what they were doing, just to make sure there was no threat, seeing if they were looking at critical infrastructure. And then we monitored them until they continued through town, which they were out of here about 11:15, and then they headed towards Cherry Hill and ultimately towards Philadelphia.
Did it concern you this could be nefarious activity?
Yeah, I mean, especially with the advanced technology that they seem to have. They're not like most drones. They're within sight. These are obviously being controlled somewhere else, and there's obviously a purpose. They're up flying.
Could you find out who was controlling them and where they were?
We're working on that. So we're working with the state police through the Regional Operations Center and ultimately with the federal authorities, FAA, FBI.
I checked like a flight tracker app, and there's no planes in the area. If you see these things go by, and they're big.
If something that massive came down into a populated area, it would be problematic. But it didn't. I mean, it was very windy last night. The size of these and the technology with them, they didn't seem to be affected by the wind. They were varying altitudes. They said sometimes as low as 100 feet, other times as high as 2,000 feet.
That doesn't make me feel safe that I have to wait till Donald Trump is in office to find out what's flying over, like literally outside my window. We're not even talking like way over my house.
Yes, ma'am. Well, you've got local laws and regulations, and I would suggest you petition your local folks. But FAA is supposed to control the airspace, and they're failing at their job.
Here's what just so you know, everybody in my neighborhood is calling the police station and the sheriff, and then the sheriff says call the FBI, and nobody gets any answers. Here's what the FAA said. They said safely integrating drones into the national airspace system is a key priority for the FAA. We look into all reports of unauthorized drone operations and investigate when appropriate. What? Like, that doesn't tell me anything.